Bang! All right, before we dive into the video on the Hoka Mach X2, fellow hobby joggers, if you are looking for a Hoka Mach X2 or any performance training shoe or racing shoe or comfortable max cushion gang shoe, check out the Supwell app. It's $1 a month. Link is in the description below. It's the app that I started as a place for hobby joggers to connect, to buy, sell, and trade gently used running shoes, to swap training insights. It's the best place right now for hobby joggers to lift up each other, to get more from our training and our running, and to vibe. If you want to have some good vibes, join the Supwell app. $1 a month. Link is in the description below. Lots of great shoes on there, by the way. There's just crazy deals popping up left and right. Lots of good sizes. Check it out. Supwell app. All right, let's get into today's video. Mach X2, training, and the streak is over. The streak is over. You'll find out. The streak is over. Good morning. It is 6:32 a.m. I usually wake up at 4:30 on Sundays. This is nice. We are sleeping in because we only have 14 miles today. We do not have the usual 20 to 24 mile slogfest because we're 7 days away from the Chicago Marathon. It's super nice to have a little bit of a break here and not have to wake up at an ungodly hour. Oh. Still tired though. So because I'm not doing a ridiculous 20-mile long run with 12 miles at marathon pace, I'm not going to use one of the race shoes. I'm going to use the Mach X2 here, which is probably my favorite, if not top 3 for sure, out of the plated training shoes this year. It's gotten a lot of love on the Supwell app. By the way, sign up for the Supwell app if you want to buy, sell, and trade gently used running shoes. It's overall a solid pick. You got the race foam on the top, the training foam on the bottom. I've done one workout in it, but I want to just get some nice time on feet this morning, see how it does for the last long run here. And after that, we'll be up at 50 miles, so we could do a 50-mile review. So man, I am feeling so happy. Happy is the right emotion. Happy that all of the hard training is behind me. We did everything pretty much by the book. So all we have to do now is run less, and then we'll be in Chicago. So let's make some coffee, eat some breakfast, and we can hit the road. Here's the thing. I usually like getting up early to do these long runs, but it's almost 7 and it's still nearly pitch black. So that was another reason for just sleeping in. So for coffee this morning, we're rocking with the Aponte Village from Colombia. This thing is complete fire honey process. So honey process is between a washed and a natural process. Washed is they completely remove the cherry from the coffee bean when drying. The natural process, they leave the cherry all around the bean. So you can think about that meaty fruit, just that big meat around the little bean, the pit. Think of the cherry in the pit. The natural process, when you leave the cherry on the pit when drying, all the flavors of the cherry, the juice, gets injected into the bean. Honey process is a little bit in between. They leave, it's kind of gross, but the mucilage, I think is the word. They leave the little membrane that's not quite the full coffee fruit. It's not quite the full cherry, so you get a tiny bit of the flavor still on the bean when you're drying. So it's a little bit funkier than a wash process. It's not as clean, and you can see, look, we got like 10% on the funk meter. But if you look at a natural process, you'll get 50 to 60% on the funk meter. So this is a perfect, gentle autumn coffee. I was a little bit down on it at first. I was hating, certainly, but I've come around. So big shout out to the Aponte Village putting in work. The yacht came with 2 speedboats attached. We don't do the jet skis. That's a prom date. I'm big paper. And Currency just has some, I call them esoteric flexes. Like dropping a 25-minute long one-take video, that's an esoteric flex. Saying that riding on jet skis is a prom date because your yacht has 2 speedboats attached in your big paper, that's an esoteric flex. That's why I love Currency, by the way. This album, right? The Tonight Show, it's like running shoes. Some of these shoes come and go out of the rotation. I wear them once, and they just don't hit. Others, I just keep coming back for more. Glycerin Max, Mach X2, Hoka Skyward X. That's what the Tonight Show is. This thing is a banger. It came out a month ago, and I've just been listening to it almost every day. So, one of my top 3 albums of the year for sure. Sleeper pick. This and the Lucky album, Gemini, probably my top 2 picks this year for albums. Maybe we'll have a sleeper come through in the last few months, but this is quality rap music right here. Currency is just heat. Mildly burnt. The reason why this one was so thick, I could only get it halfway in. You see, that's why it's half burnt. And then I had to flip it around, do the other half. So the side that got it twice, that's burnt. That's what happens. That's bad form right there. One entire Chicago Marathon training block of toasting, and I still haven't perfected my toasting game. So honey today, this is the Jackson family honey. Yeah, I actually got this from Publix, but they had some local raw honey, which was kind of a surprise. But it did look a little bit like it was government inspected, because you can see it came with this seal here, but still quality. It's a lot better than what you get out of those bear bottles. Yeah, there's nothing like some raw honey, local bagels. These bagels are from down the street, Family Dough, best bagels in Charlotte, mixed with some good coffee. So that's the key to a good pre-long run breakfast. Get you some bagels, some local honey, some good coffee, and then you'll be good to go. I see you on the other side of this. All right, so Charlie came over here too. We both agree the honey lacks a little bit of complexity in the finish. In the local honey that you get from the farmer's market, you get more of that lavender wildflower essence on the close. With these, it doesn't have that citric little ping. Yeah, that bite at the end that you get. It has the right color. Okay, buddy boy's up. Yeah, not a superstar, but it'll get the job done. Still has carbs and it's still sweet. Dude, Kyle Pitts really went for 15 points on my bench. It's a story of Kyle Pitts. Reefsy made lattes. All right, lacing up the Mach X2 here, and so far with these shoes, this has been a great do-it-all champion. It's been great for faster runs. It's been great for slower runs. Now, I only have 36 miles on them, like I said, but a handful of those runs were like 10 milers with pace, and then I did a few recovery runs, and I even did a family run with, 4 miles just at a nice relaxed pace with the squad. So upper here is a little bit finicky, I do have to say. It almost reminds me of the Boston 12 upper, where you have to fight a little bit to get it on and to get the right fit. But it's locked down. It has almost a race fit on the upper. And look at this. Just look how you can see, even as I leave it laced up, it just looks tight. So it definitely has that speed shoe vibe. If we're thinking about versatile shoes, I saw someone left this comment the other day on the Supwell app. They said the Super Blast, in their opinion, was versatile in a fast way, and the Glycerin Max is versatile in a slow way. I feel the same about the Mach X2 versus the Glycerin Max. This would be versatile in a fast way. It's definitely a speed-oriented everyday running shoe, or a speed-oriented daily trainer. But the fit is true to size here. In terms of the feel, man, it just feels like a fast shoe. It has a slightly narrow build to it. It doesn't feel like one of these max stack, max cushion, super max shoes where you get a ton of foam underfoot. Even though there is a lot of foam underfoot here, I think Running Warehouse measures this to be at around 44, 45 in the back. It's definitely above 40 millimeters in the back here, but it doesn't feel super stacked and super max underfoot. It feels a little bit more streamlined, a little bit lighter weight. Also, not the softest step in. It's definitely not firm, but it's also not super soft. So let me do a little walk test here. Man, the mosquitoes are still out here, but you do get a little bit of nice squish from this top layer here. So this is the race foam on the top and the white. You can see as I press it down, it compresses and gives me some nice bounce back. And this bottom layer is there really for stability and maybe some durability. And then the other nice thing that you can really see when walking is the rocker. Look at this nice roll. So far it's been a smooth ride, it's been a comfortable ride, and this rocker, Hoka's developing and dropping the best rockers in the game that just make it so easy to run. And that's how I felt about this shoe. There's no fighting against the foam, there's not a lot of weirdness, it's just easy to run. Yes, there's the plastic plate, but it doesn't feel harsh for me. So we'll see how it does for this. This is probably going to be my longest run in it, about 90 minutes, 14 miles, and then we can close it out. Last long run of the block. Let's do this thing.
So ride of the Mach X2, smooth, man. The landing to the takeoff is just effortless. There is no resistance whatsoever. And that's because of the rocker. So as soon as you land, no matter where you land, the shoe rolls you forward, which is great. It's not as bouncy as a race shoe because you only get the polyether block amide on the top. You only get the top layer of race foam, but it feels like the impact absorption is just as good, if not better, from that denser bottom foam. So I was a skeptic of this shoe and the category when I first tested it, but it's won me over for sure. Rocker, bounce, stability, it's all there. So I ran on the Mach X yesterday morning, but before that, I ran in the, what was it, Vaporfly. And I think I would take this over the Vaporfly for a full marathon personally. That shoe is just narrow, feels like it was bottoming out on me. This is very protective. That's one of the things I love about it. Reminds me almost of the Boston 12. Where no matter how much force you're putting down, it's not gonna bottom out on you. So this has been an absolute winner in my book so far. Not as crazy bouncy as the Skyward X, but a little bit smoother, a little bit more restrained, lighter weight, more streamlined, a little bit more normal feeling than the Skyward X, but another winner for sure. 90. I guarantee you they were putting in the work. Either walking or running or something. Mile 1, 7:30 something pace. This is a nice Sunday drive. What more could you ask for? 60-degree temperatures, overcast, 7 days until we never have to worry about a marathon time again. Oh man, beautiful. I'm retiring from the marathon after October 13th. No more. Big marathon men, they're not gonna steal my money. It's a conspiracy. They're finessing all the hobby joggers. They're in cahoots with United Airlines and Hilton, trying to steal the money of hard-working hobby joggers everywhere. I'm not doing it. I'm not having it anymore. After October 13th, it's over. Local 5Ks only. Keep the money in the local communities. Complete shenanigans. Talking about world marathon major 6-star. Just putting money in the pockets of big marathon. Mile 2, 7:12. What a time! What a time to be alive. Man, these short long runs, I love grinding out 20s, but there's nothing sweeter than the taste of contentment and accomplishment. And we all need to do a better job celebrating our training wins and consistency. Today is gonna end a I think 23 or 24 week streak of 20-mile long runs. And that's a beautiful thing. And I'm so happy that I was able to do that injury-free, through sickness, through whatever. And now I can just enjoy the success of training. No matter what happens on race day, we got to appreciate the grind of training. So this is a celebration of that. Let's go. That's more consecutive 20-mile long runs than your favorite Olympian. Check Strava. I dare you. I really do not like the look of that ghost hanging. That's not what you want to see on a Carolina Sunday morning. Stop hanging ghosts from trees. That's not chill, bro. At mile 3, 7 flat pace. I think I have to say it. This shoe is like a better Boston 12. That's what I'm getting so far. Similar foam setup. You also have the stiffening agent. In this case, a plastic plate. In the case of the Boston 12, it's those rods. But it's better because it's smoother. The rocker here is better. And it's a lot better for relaxed pace. But similar to the Boston 12, I'm able to hit really fast paces in this. I did a workout on the treadmill, 2-mile repeats, and I was clipping off 520s and 530s. Now the treadmill does give some speed assistance, so even if we say that's 530s to 540s, that's still a good threshold pace, which is hard for me to hit on the roads in a race shoe. So this is up there for speed assistance out of the training shoes. Might give the most speed assistance. Do you think about me now and then? Do you think about me now and then? Oh, 'cause I'm coming home again. And home again. Fireworks on Lake Michigan. Na 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 na. Oh, 'cause I'm coming home again. I met this girl when I was 3 years old. That man had so much soul. No. Bank of America Chicago Marathon. More like Bank of America class action lawsuit for swindling innocent hobby joggers out of thousands of dollars. Barefoot Mafia sighting. Ah, there they go. Running scared. Typical behavior. We're on mile 5 here, clipping off 7 flats, moving and grooving, feeling good, feeling alive. Just playing Chicago songs in my head. Just got Chief Keef on repeat in the mental vinyl record. And this shoe feels great, man. Yeah, this is a top tier shoe. It's $190. It's expensive. But out of all the plated trainers I've tried this year, this is definitely giving me more comfort, more bounce, more protection, easier to run in. The other thing with the upper, I have literally no issues with the upper when I wear the correct socks. These boys with soft ankles out here complaining about a gosh dang upper. And these other shoe tubers complaining about an upper issue, taking slow-mo shots of some pasty ankles. Stop it. We don't need that. Develop your own style. And you guys know who pioneered the slow-mo GoPro. Everyone else who's doing the slow-mo GoPro on your glycerin 21 colored ankles, hit the tanning bed or go outside. Stop spending so much time behind the desk talking about stack heights. Get some vitamin D on those ankles, tone them up, And then maybe we can talk about some slow-mo GoPro shots. We don't need to see that sausage stuffed in the Mach X2 moving at 15 frames per second. It's disrespectful. You won't regret it, no, no. Some girls ain't forget it. Love is its own happiness. Yeah. No, 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 no. Squeeze a teaser. I am very swag. Popping bottles, putting supermodels in a cab. Truth. I guess I got my swagger back. Oh. Alright, mile 6. 6:45. Feeling alive. We already survived. Now it's time to thrive. We're just cruising. This is a perfect Sunday morning drive shoot. Up the hill, but guess what? You know how many times we've run the hill this year? I don't have any real data on this, but hundreds. This hill is my minion. I own this hill. I own this hill. It's a good day to be a hobby jogger, huh? Huh? Hey, kid. What do you think, kid? Scarecrow's putting in work. Mile 9, 6:50. We are rolling. This is perfect running weather. A little misty and gray. I love it. We have 5 miles left, and that is so nice. Usually we have 10 to 15 miles left at this point. We got to enjoy these days, man. I love running, but I also love just enjoying the hard work. We're soaking it in today. And reflecting on all of the tough long runs that we did do, man. We were grinding 20-something weeks straight. I'm proud of that one. Last block I did 10 100-mile weeks straight for the first time. This time I added in some down weeks and recovery weeks, but I kept in the long runs long. And I added in a lot more race pace. But I want to talk about all that when we get back. We got 5 more miles of vibes. I guess I got my swagger back. Truth. New watch alert. Core roast. Or the big face Garmin, I got 2 of those. After this block, I'm gonna get a Garmin, the big face Garmin, whatever the most expensive, biggest face Garmin is that you can buy. I'm taking it to Johnny Dang, busting it down. Diamonds. 5-corner VVS's, all in that Garmin Epic Phoenix 8S. I'll be shining on them. And then I'm gonna take it for an ultra, 100-mile ultra, and my $100,000 bust down Garmin. I'm trading in my Jeep, and I'm taking out a reverse mortgage on the house to get that bust down Garmin. Little boy still rocking Coros. Get that out of here. These other boys got the pasty ankles looking swagless. VVS diamonds on my Garmin looking fabulous. This is PR weather right here. This weather makes me wish that I have a workout, because these are the types of days, late September, early October, after training in the heat all summer, these are the types of mornings where you can just fly. Look at this. It smells like Morton and PBs, mate. This is actually pretty crazy though. Visibility is about 20 yards. I've never seen this in my neighborhood. I might get taken out by an EV if I can't hear it, because then I won't be able to see me and I won't be able to hear them. Imagine if I got taken out by a cyber truck. Talk about going out sad. Uno, domino, one more, let's go. All right, man, that's it. That is it. The 20-mile long run streak is officially done, and so is most of training. 14 miles, 6:50 pace, 1 hour, 36 minutes, 31 seconds. And you know what the crazy thing is? 6:50, that's sub 3 marathon pace. At the top of 2024, at the beginning of this year, 9-10 months ago, I had never even run one sub 3 marathon. And now that was my long run pace for a relatively relaxed, now that was not a recovery run, but just a standard run to close out training here. So, man, that's progress, and that's why I'm happy. That's why I'm in a good mood, because marathon training is really hard. It's hard to have everything to come together perfectly, but I've been able to, not just this block, and man, it is humid again, not just this block, but this entire year, string together a really solid year, 18 months of training. No injuries, haven't really been sidelined with anything. I've been able to be consistent with the long runs and build up some really good marathon fitness in a short period of time. And as a relatively newer runner, I mean, before the past year, I'd gone over 20 miles maybe probably a handful of times. And now this year I did 20 straight. So all we can do is our best. We can only control what we can control. And it's not to say we should just be satisfied with working hard and not have time goals, but we really do need to celebrate these things during training. The consistency, the progress in these training PRs. Training PR, not running a 1:29.5 marathon, but hey, we did a 90-minute run 13 weeks in a row. We did a 20-mile run 20 weeks in a row. These are the little things that are going to help build up our fitness. Big picture, man. It's hard sometimes when we're muck and mire of training to think big picture, but that's what I really want to do, and that's what I'm trying to do today. Take a step back, not be so focused on what was the pace, what was the heart rate, what were the splits looking like. Oh, my running performance was fair, according to Koros. That's why I'm getting the buzz down Garmin. I'm going to be flexing on them no matter what the running performance was. See, this is the thing. Look, it said my heart rate was you can't even see this. It said my heart rate was 186 on mile 3 because it was just all out of whack. Regardless, though, celebrate the wins of training. What are your wins? What are your wins this week? Being consistent, doing 4 days of running per week, 5 days of running per week for 3 weeks in a row. Just getting out the door, lacing up the shoes every day, whether that's for a run or a walk for 2 weeks straight. We got to celebrate these things. It's not all just about the numbers on the scale or the numbers on the watch. And stringing together a bunch of these process wins, training wins, consistency wins, will help move the dial. with the races and race paces, but it's not all about that, man. Yeah, I want to run a fast time, of course, but I can't control that on race day. I can control doing my best. And this is the thing. I trained pretty much perfectly. There's no such thing as a perfect training block. And even miles or weeks 10 to 6 in this training block, 10 to 6 weeks out from the race, I completely deviated from the Jack Daniels plan because it just wasn't working. I got a little bit sick and then I decided to go off script. And that's okay. But the last 6 weeks, I did everything by the book because my goal this block was to be as prepared as possible. So we got to just celebrate the little wins. I'm happy with how this block went. That's that. That is that. I ran a lot of race pace this block. I did all the long runs. In the words of Jay-Z, what more can I say? The leaves are literally falling. We've transitioned from gentle autumn into hard fall. This is hard fall right now. And I literally had to double back inside to get the Carbon County sweater. We didn't even go into Carbon County today, but it's cold, it's chilly. This is PR weather. This is personal record weather. Man, if you've been grinding all summer, I already told you, it's harvest festival season. And my friend Michelle White, she had to remind me. She said, bro, you're gonna go to Chicago, come back with those juicy gourds. Stop doubting yourself. Yeah, the shirt says Carbon County, but we were in Nylon Nation today with the plastic plated Mach X2. So let's do a quick 50-mile review on this thing, and then I want to close it out talking about a few of the things that I learned throughout Chicago Marathon training. Through training. I was talking to Charlie last night at the kitchen table. And we were saying that you've got to separate the successes and failures of training with those of the race. It's two different things. We can conflate them. We can smash them together sometimes, but they're distinct things. We train hard. We can have good workouts and bad workouts. We can have successes of consistency, of pace, of health throughout training, and then we can have a great performance on race day or a terrible performance on race day, regardless of how we trained. And of course, the performance on race day will in some way be tied to how we train, but it could also be 105 degrees on race day, or a million different things. So I want to focus on today the performance of training, how we did during training, regardless of what happens on October 13th at the Chicago Harvest Festival. Now, Hoka Mach X2, this thing is officially at 50 miles. And let's take a look at the durability here. Let's take a look at the wear. Basically untouched. Look at that. Untouched on the back on the left shoe. Let's see, the right shoe, no, literally no wear on the foam. On the Cielo X1 and the Mach 6, which had the same foam, I saw a lot more wear. And this does have the same kind of weird pattern here as the Cielo X1, where you'd have the exposed foam in the back. But this one is holding on pretty good shape at 50 miles. And I've got to say, the ride, sometimes with these shoes, they break in and they soften up. With this one here, it feels pretty much the exact same as it did when it was fresh out of the box. It does not feel different at all, which is a good thing because Hoka's reputation as a brand has been that of not creating the most durable shoes. People have had issues with... Bro, I'm tripping and I didn't even have any Morton today. People have had issues with the Rincon. People had issues with the Mach 5. I personally got 300 miles out of the Mach 5, and that's my mileage target for shoes. The Mach X, I think people had got some good durability. out of those, I actually did send my Mach X away, the Mach X OG away, to somebody who could get some more miles out of it. But this guy has felt this has felt extremely consistent through the first 50 miles. It hasn't felt like the ride has changed. It hasn't really felt like it's broken in at all, at least in the last 30 miles. Maybe from mile 0 to 20 it broke in. Go ahead and check out my 22-mile double day if you want some insights on that. But in terms of this run and the last few runs I've done in it, it's felt really consistent. It's not the softest and squishiest shoe, which makes it a good shoe for time on feet and fairly versatile. I find that the super soft shoes like the 1080s, Glycerin Max, Nimbus, all shoes which at different points I've loved, specifically the 1080 and Glycerin Max. I love those shoes. Nimbus, 25, kind of mixed on it, but the firmer a midsole is, for me, the more versatile it can be. The Skyflow was a very versatile shoe for me, and now this is a very versatile shoe for me. This is like a better version of the Skyflow, and yes, there's a $40 price difference, but with that, you are getting the race foam, and the amount of race foam that they put in here is just perfect because it's not soft and squishy, it's not gonna bottom out, and at the same time, it's not too firm and harsh with this bottom layer. So this is one of the best training midsoles out there. Matter of fact, might be the best training midsole. If you want something that's just consistent, reliable, with a little bit of fun in there. And we were rocking and rolling at about a 7 flat pace, getting down to 640, 650 today. So about a sub 3 marathon pace, and this midsole was completely dialed in. I did drop it down. Let's throw up the run here. I dropped it down to marathon pace for the last mile, just threw in a 6:05, and it felt good. And a few weeks ago, I was at 5:30s, 5:40s in the shoe, and it felt good. And I've said this a few times, but around 10-minute miles in this shoe, and it felt good. So the range is awesome. The comfort is awesome. I was also not too sure about how the stability would be in the first few runs in the shoe, but if you look at what they've done here, they've wrapped up this yellow foam around the sidewalls to cradle the foot, and it works well. This is a very stable planted shoe. It almost has prescriptive stability with how they've pushed this foam up. So if you do need stability and are looking for a plated training shoe, this will be good. Now, downsides, typically durability is a concern with Hoka, but as I've mentioned, this looks like it's going to be a very durable shoe at 50 miles here, basically no wear. I will do a 100-mile review of this at some point, so I really don't think durability is going to be a concern with this shoe, especially if your mileage target is 300. That should be completely fine. The grip is also pretty solid on this. I did not have a chance to test it in the wet weather yet, but this is the same rubber as all the other Hoka training shoes this year. At least I'm assuming. I don't think they would put a different rubber on this than the Skyward X and the Skyflow and the Mach, and those have been great in the wet weather. So no concerns with durability, no concerns with grip. If you have soft ankles, if you have a weak Achilles, if you got them shoe tube ankles, a lot of shoe tubers out here complaining about upper issues. If you have a finicky foot, you might have some trouble with this. I have not really had any trouble with this. I wore crew socks, so the socks that stop, pretend this is my leg, the socks that stop right here, I wore those socks on the treadmill. Does this look like I'm running? I wore those socks on the treadmill for the double day I did, and I could feel a little bit of, is it poking against my Achilles? But if I weren't looking for that, I don't think I would have felt it. And as I got into that run, it was an 8-mile run. As I got into the run 2 miles in, just bumping Future or whatever I was listening to that day, I had no problems with this. So if you got some pasty, chunky shoe tube ankles, you might have an issue with it. But other than that, I think you'll be okay. I'm sorry. I don't know, man. A lot of people have upper issues. I typically don't have upper issues with shoes. I also wear features, and I tend not to complain about small things. So if small little things get under your skin, then this might not be the shoe for you. If you had issues with the Boston 12 upper, I don't know. A lot of people had issues with that upper. I didn't really, so I don't know. You know what I realized the other day? You can't spell complaining without go plan. So if you're complaining, go plan, go take action. Get off shoe tube. The actual material of the upper is really nice though. It gives you that streamlined race day fit feel vibe, and you can see, look, I'm gonna put my hand in here again. You can see through here. You see there's like a little orange insole. You can see through this upper to the orange. So very breathable, very lightweight. The laces on here are completely perfect. I know, oh my gosh. Bro, they gotta make those things again. The Ford Stack Excursion. So it's a Ford F-250 Super Duty. So it's an HD, a heavy duty truck that they made into an SUV. The only thing that's kind of similar to it on the market right now is the Hummer SUV, which is just absolutely absurd. And then you also do have the Jeep Grand Wagoneer XL, which is probably bigger than that. And the full-size SUVs have just gotten so big anyway. But that's a cool car. Hoka Mach X2. I was thinking about this. This is almost like the Jeep Wrangler of shoes. It's do it all. And if you complain about little things like tire noise, like some people do in the Jeeps, you might not like the shoe. I don't know. The upper thing, I don't know what to tell you about the upper thing, man. It's fine to me. I like the upper. Just gotta get you a pair of Features or Bombas or OS First, and you'll be good. You'll be straight, dog. All right. I think that's all I have to say about the Mach X2. If you're looking for a new long run shoe, bada boom, bada bang. If you're looking for a new marathon training shoe, bada boom, bada bang. If you're looking for a do-it-all shoe and you're frequently going over 1 hour, bada boom, bada bang. If you're a bigger runner looking for a speed training shoe, bada boom, bada bang. If you're looking for a running shoe for your first half marathon and you want to graduate from a standard $140 daily trainer, but you're still going to leave that shoe in your rotation, maybe it's the Pegasus or the Clifton, bada boom, bada bang. This is a great shoe. It's not the softest and squishiest, but it will get the job done no matter the task. And I said this before, I'll say it again. If I were going on a trip, say I were going on 1 week to some random Airbnb with the family to be tortured by screaming toddlers, I would probably take this shoe. And I could only take one shoe, it would be this one. For 1 week of training, if I had a long run, if I had an interval session, if I had a tempo run, I would take this shoe. This is the best do-it-all shoe for me right now. So if you typically follow my recommendations and you like my recommendations and you're looking for a new do-it-all shoe, this would be it. I said it about this shoe when we got up to that 30-mile mark and I put together the 5 best do-it-all shoes under 200. And now that I've done this long run in it, 90 minutes, I still can verify that. It's not gonna bottom out. It's got some bounce. It's smooth. It's not too aggressive. It's not too weird. Like the Skyward X is just a tiny bit weird. It's not like that. It feels more normal. I love the Skyward X, but that's not the one shoe I'm gonna pick. That's a little bit more specialized into the crazy fun bounce territory where I don't wanna pick that shoe every day of the week. This is also a little bit better for recovery because it feels a touch more restrained. So awesome shoe. Now let's talk about training to close it out. Just a few things that I have learned from this training block. First, long runs, right? We were out here today doing the 14-mile long run in the Hoka Mach X2. What I learned about my long runs this block is building the consistency is so huge, and having these longer long runs helps so much with being able to hold race pace for longer. And what I discovered this block is that last time I was focused so much on mileage, this time I started working more race pace into my long runs and into my overall week. But having that base of long runs and overall mileage built means that I can do longer grind race pace sessions. So build up the long runs and then add in the race pace. And man, I did 16 miles during training at faster than my target marathon race pace and was able to recover and go on into my normal course of training. Ford Stack Excursion again. And so this is what I'm saying. Even if
we don't ultimately end up running that time on race day, that's still a success of training. And I learned something. I learned that I can go up to 16-mile tempo at race pace and recover. And I learned that the only way that I was able to do that, there's no way in heck I would have attempted to do that last block. But because I have this base built up, the infrastructure, I don't know why it's so hype on Sunday morning. Subaru Outstack Wilderness. Because I have the aerobic infrastructure built up, I was able to do that. So the 20-mile long runs, the streak, then unlock the longer race pace. So that's the second thing, man. Longer tempos at race pace for me feel key. My last key workout a few weeks ago was 2 weeks ago. In the Cloud Boom Strike, I did 20 miles with 14 at race pace. And 2 of those 14 were actually 20 seconds faster than race pace. So the average of that 14 was around a 6 flat or a 6:01. So it was 6 miles at race pace, 1 mile at threshold, 6 miles at race pace, 1 mile at threshold. That is a grinder. That's a grinder session out here on the hills alone during training. But because I was so consistent with the long runs, I was able to do that. I also think this is something I want to experiment with next time I do a marathon, and it might be, gosh dang, 2027, because I'm done with it. But one of the things I kind of started experimenting with this block was doing longer race pace tempos in the middle of the week. So that 16 miles at 5:57 pace I was telling you about, that was in the Endorphin Elite, that was in the middle of the week. And then I did my long run on the weekend with no race pace. So it was a little bit of a combination. Some weeks I would go out, do 10 miles at race pace on a Wednesday or Thursday, and then do the long run with the workout. I mix and matched. I would always have the long run on the weekend. Some weeks I would do the race pace tempo in the long runs. Some weeks I would do it independently. And I feel that it's a little easier to run. It's not rocket science, right? It's easier to run that race pace when you have a shorter run. Hold on. Bless me. When you just have 14 miles, it's going to be easier to go out and hold that race pace. The downside is you don't have the warm-up. So if I'm going to do a 20-mile long run with 14 miles at race pace, I have a 4-mile warm-up or a 3-mile warm-up, and then I get into the working. If I'm just doing the tempo in the middle of the week, I don't do a warm-up. I just get straight into it. But that is more like the conditions of race day. So it's interesting, and I don't know what the best way is to get the adaptations, but one of my hypotheses right now, and what I want to keep testing when I get into my next marathon training build in 2038, is miles at race pace. I really think this is the key to unlocking great marathon performance, and it's not the most mind-blowing discovery, but miles at just running as many miles as race pace as possible is going to lead to the best race day performance. That is what I tried to do. That was one of the key building blocks of this block, and what I built on top of the Daniels plan was just adding more race pace miles in. Get more comfortable at that race pace, stress the body, get more efficient at that race pace. And there's no research around should you have X percent. It's all gonna vary, but I personally feel like that's one of the things that allowed me to have a more successful block this time. And for that last run that I did with the 20 milers with the 14 mile straight at race pace with the 2 threshold, made that feel a little bit more, I was gonna say a little bit easier. It didn't feel easier. That's the thing. It made me able to, even when I felt horrible, and if you watch that video, I was struggling, but my paces were so dialed in because I'd practiced race pace so much. So I'm feeling like doing race pace is even more important than doing the fast top end speed. And I didn't do a lot of speed work at the beginning of the block. I didn't do a lot of intervals. I did add them back in the last 6 to 8 weeks from the Daniels plan. I'm not really quite sure what they're doing for me, stressing some of the faster systems in the body. We'll see if it works or not. And that's one of the things that was different from this block or last block. When I ran the 249, I did run a lot more speed in the last month to month and a half. So my general
thought is more intensity, as long as we're recovering from it, is better than less intensity. If we're able to hit these speed workouts and then still recover and hit the long runs and hit the long race pace tempos, why not? Why not, right? And I was able to do that. So the consistent speed work, it can't hurt unless we're getting hurt, and I was not. I wasn't overtraining or getting sick or well, I did get sick, but that's just from the kids and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I wasn't overtraining or overstressing the body with the speed work, so it's why not? Why not? I do think I was going back and forth actually of whether to do 2 workouts per week or 3 workouts per week. I still haven't found the perfect mix, but it's almost like, and this is the real nerdy stuff here, it's almost like I was on a 10-day cycle instead of a 7-day cycle sometimes. So when we think about microcycles of training, usually if you're a hobby jogger and you're training Sunday to Monday or Monday to Sunday, 7 days a week, you're going to be doing, okay, Monday we have recovery, Tuesday we have intervals, Wednesday recovery, Thursday tempo, Friday recovery, Saturday recovery, Sunday long run, and repeat every week. The way some other people structure it and some of the elites is 10-day cycles. So throw out the calendar and they just do 1 to 10 and repeat that. So from Monday of this week to Wednesday of next week or Thursday of next week, that would be your cycle. And then you start back again on Friday with the number 1 day, which you have on Monday. So for me, if I'm alternating between doing 3 days of intensity and then 2 days of intensity per week, so 1 week I'll do faster than race pace workout on Tuesday, race pace tempo on Thursday, long run workout on Saturday, and then the next week I only do the race pace tempo and the long run workout. That's 5 workouts in that 2-week period. Repeat the next week. That's almost like I'm on a 10-day cycle. So that's a complicated way of saying dialing up and down volume, intensity, and frequency is so key, which lands me on my third point here, which is the third variable that I really honed in on this block is frequency of running. We so often think about volume and intensity as the 2 levers to play with. How often we're running or how much we are running. So for me, that's 100 to 110 miles per week. That's my standard volume. If I want to have a down week, I bring that down to 80, 70 to 80. That's how I play with the lever of volume. And I kept the 3 up, 1 down, or I actually went back to this block, as I was saying out there. Last block, my goal was 10 100-mile week straight. This week, that was not my goal. I wanted to bake in the recovery so I could come back and hit it hard. One of the things I learned from that was I do really well after that recovery week. So for me at this stage of development, because I am newer to this higher mileage, it helps to have that 70 to 80 mile recovery week. But that's volume. Intensity, that's just what we were talking about. Doing 2 workouts a week or 3 workouts a week, or just doing a whole week of only relaxed running, that would bring the intensity down. But the third is frequency. So we can have an 80-mile week or a 120-mile week where the frequency is the same. So if I'm running Monday morning, 10 miles, Monday afternoon, 4 miles, Tuesday morning, 10 miles, Tuesday afternoon, 6 miles. If I'm doing doubles every day, one of the ways I can play with frequency is just shortening the runs. If I shorten the volume of those runs, the frequency can stay the same. And I love high frequency training, so I love doing doubles, not for what it does to training, not for any specific training adaptations, and there are many, and one of the things that I learned recently is that you get a spurt of growth hormone for every 30-minute bout of exercise that you do. But that's not why I love doing the doubles. I love them because of the mental benefits, man. We are sitting at these desks all day. A lot of us, if you have a desk job, if you have a corporate 9 to 5, or maybe you're in wherever you are. But for me, I'm sitting behind my desk if I'm not running. So this is my schedule. I wake up, breakfast with the family, run, film, sit behind my computer for the rest of the day until it's dinner time, except for my second run. That's my lunch break, my second run. If I don't do that second run, I am sitting behind my computer in my office for 8 to 10 hours on Zoom, on Slack, just scrolling, slide decking, slacking. It's not the most pleasant thing. So doing that second run breaks up the day really nicely, and it means I can show up to dinner with the family in such a better headspace if I've run at noon or 1, whenever I take my lunch break. If I don't do that, I'd feel so just drained at the end of the day. So that second run is such an energizer for me. It also means that I have to focus more on my nutrition. And when I do my coffee, it means I have my coffee typically earlier in the day. And that that's all good. And that I'm focusing on getting my electrolytes in and my hydration. Because if I don't, some days I can get to 2:30 just sitting in meetings, just on Figma, slamming out decks. And I'm saying, gosh dang, all I've had today is half a bagel before my morning run. And now I'm just sitting at this desk, hungry, angry, dopamine deprived, looking at blue light with my pineal gland fried. So that's why I love doubles. And even when we are doing these down weeks, I can do, this is what I think I'm going to do for some of the days this week. I'm not going to double every day this week because it's the last day for the race. And I'm probably not going to double most days this week. And it is a sacrifice. And this is where we think about performance versus health. Sometimes they're at odds. Doubling every day, for me, that's for my health. That is for my mental well-being. That is not for my fitness, right? It does help fitness. It helps both. But what I think I'm going to do is something like, maybe I'll do 8 miles in the morning tomorrow and then 4 in the afternoon. I'm not sure. I have to figure out my schedule. But on a typical recovery week, an 80-mile week, that's what I could do. 6 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. It keeps the structure consistent. It keeps the flow of the week. It keeps me sane. And I can reduce the stress on the body. So doubling, if you can, give it a try. It's great for recovery. It means you can shorten your morning runs and still get some more mileage in, and it makes the day just so much better. If you have a family, try to do some family runs. That was something that we added in a few weeks ago. So we'll do 4-mile runs with the squad, 10-minute miles around here, Mace's on the bike. Of course, it's going to depend on where you live and what your setup and schedule is. But if you live in the burbs and you can and works for your schedule, I would highly recommend it. You can even do it on the weekends, but it just gets everyone out of the house. And the more that you run, the more time that you will spend communing with nature. And you can get more miles in. Think of it this way. If you typically do 6 miles in the morning, bring it down. Bring it down to 4. And then add 3 to 4 in the afternoon. And see how it goes. You'll also strengthen your muscles. There's so many benefits of doubling. But I love doubling. I love high frequency training. And that was one of my learnings of this block, man. Keep the frequency high. Bring the volume down, bring the intensity down. And of course, some weeks I'm just wiped, and the thought of doing a second run feels more tiring than it does energizing. And those weeks, guess what? Nah, I'm gonna order some Chipotle. I'm gonna have my chips and guac, kick my feet up, watch some car reviews, and just chill out. That's usually not what I end up doing. I usually just end up sitting at my desk and not eating. So this is the thing. Running adds so much structure, and there's so many benefits, and it adds so much enjoyment and energy to my life, and adds so much value to my day. So the marathon training is only one piece of it, and yeah, we can get deep into the science of adaptations, this, VO2 max, that, protocols, this. Bro, the protocol that I stand by: lace up your shoes, get outside, put your gosh dang screen down, enjoy the vibes, get that dopamine flowing. I think that's it. That's the only protocol we need. So those are some of the things that I learned from Chicago marathon training. Consistent long runs lead to an unlocked ability to hold race pace during training, which means we can train at a higher level. And that might sound simple when it's said that way, but give it a try. Implement it into your training. I guarantee if you're not running 2-hour long runs right now and you add them in, you'll be able to run more challenging race pace workouts, which means you'll be able to run a faster race pace, or at least train to a faster race pace, right? And then just adding more race pace in general. Bro, I didn't even realize we've been out here yapping for 30 minutes. The camera shut off on me, but playing with the frequency of intensity, that's a new lever that I'm thinking about. Two workouts a week versus 3 workouts a week, and really dialing in those race pace workouts. That was my focus for this block, and it worked. Doing a 16-mile tempo at faster than target race pace with quick recovery, that's a success. Would I have loved to go 18 to 20 at race pace? Yes, I would have. But man, that was also 10 days? I think that was 10 days after I did that 27-mile long run, if not 2 weeks after I did that 27-mile long run. So I was able to do some pretty wacky, cool stuff. This block, I do want to go 20 miles at race pace next block and see if I can recover. That was the other thing I was going to say. I learned about myself personally. I recover really quickly. So you got to find what your strengths are as a runner, and that will help you structure training. That makes sense for me. I can recover really quickly. I can do those 27-mile long runs and get back out there with a double day the next day, as long as the pace isn't too high. So again, playing with those levers of volume, intensity, and frequency, that will help us dial in the right mix of training for ourselves. But successful training block in the books. Shout out to the Mach X2 putting in work. Shout out to all the hobby joggers out there putting in work. I'm excited for whatever is going to come next. We got the marathon, and then who knows? I'm not training for another marathon again right after this, that's for sure. But all right. Recovery time, and then I'll be back tomorrow with another video. One more thing, man. I was gonna talk to you guys about this. This whole Strava athlete intelligence thing. They're rolling out this AI tool that gives you insights about your workouts. It is so misleading. It's dangerously bad. That's maybe a topic for another video. Maybe that's a one-take Saturday. Reevesy literally left his napkin on top of the trash can, but this is a recovery. I was so hungry that I ate half of it, but look, homemade pumpkin waffles. I think it's technically pumpkin banana, but they're fire. Half of an overripe banana in the pumpkin waffles adds some sweetness, and they're pretty fire. Shout out Charles. I think she's also making some chili over there. We've got NFL Red Zone just pumping in the background. This is my afternoon snack. Oh, granola flying everywhere. Little Cascadian Farms organic granola. Charlie just got this for me. I'm trying to keep the carbs up this week and have the nutrition be on point. So yes, this is store-bought granola, but convenience. You gotta do convenience. And dinner's gonna be straight homemade and straight flames. Up your best. All right, this is the big boy dinner. We have, what do we have, Charles? 3 bean chili? How many beans? 2 bean chili, 2 different types of beans. And lots of vegetables, sweet potatoes, cucumbers. Was there cucumbers? The zucchini? I saw you cutting up cucumbers earlier. That was for the kids' lunch. Oh, okay. Sweet. Yeah. Sweet. No cucumbers, sweet potatoes, corn. This is actually a cucumber paste on the top. No, it's avocado. Cheese, and then homemade cornbread. Look at that texture, man. That's a good dinner. Bang. See you guys tomorrow.